1 week to go in the regular season. It's time to give an update on where Miami stands after the last loss to the Indiana Pacers. Also on today's show, it might be time to bench Duncan Robinson because he has been struggling as of late. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report. And before we dive into the meats and potatoes of today's show, I do just want to say, yesterday was brutal, man. Like, if you joined us for our watch party, if you didn't, make sure you subscribe and do so. But you know how I feel about that loss. That was as bad as a performance as I have seen, considering the circumstances for Miami. That game basically decided if you're going to be a play-in team or not, which we'll give a full breakdown here in a second. But to show up and put yourself in what was a 22-point deficit in the first half at one point was flat out unacceptable. The comeback was cool, but they say it's never a comeback until you actually take the lead, which Miami was never able to do. A complete no-show that was really disappointing to me, and it really has me questioning the future of this season as we are just a week away from the regular season coming to a close. But I do want to get the good vibes flowing, if we can even get that as a potential possibility. Let's turn around the Heat season, Heat fans. Let's do it. Like the video. Let's get the good vibes flowing on the YouTube universe. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 280, 300 likes on today's show. All right, this is where things stand with just a week to go. No games today in the association. I don't know if that's because they're showing love to college basketball as the national championships tonight or what, but there is no games in the NBA. And the Heat currently sit as the 8th seed. They're a half game back of Philly for that 7th spot, which we'll explore why that doesn't really mean anything in a second. But that meaningful number is 1.5 games back now of the Indiana Pacers for the 6th spot. The last seed that is firmly in the postseason, 1.5 games back. And when you really look at the rest of these standings, right, well, it's not really attainable to get to the 5 spot with only 2.5 games back of them, but you only play 3 or 4 games left. So it's really just 6, 7, 8 if you're thinking of Miami. In the last 4 games for the Heat, as they are the only team that have 4 games left outside, or if you just look at the Pacers and the Sixers, they play Atlanta on Tuesday, Dallas on Wednesday, Toronto on Friday, and then Toronto again on Sunday to close out the regular season. So you look at that schedule, 3 manageable games against under 500 teams, 1 game against the Mavericks, but sources have told me that the Mavs might actually rest their starters on Wednesday if they take care of business against the Hornets on Tuesday, as both teams are playing in a back-to-back. Pacers schedule, if you're trying to catch them, which you're 1.5 games behind them now, and you have also lost the tiebreaker, which is why yesterday's game was so important, but I digress. Toronto, Cleveland, and Atlanta. There is, I guess, a little bit of hope. If Miami goes 4-0 and Indiana goes 1-2 in their final 3, that means that they get to jump the Pacers, but it is very unlikely in my eyes that they go 1-2. The Cavs have been playing bad basketball as of late. I'd pick Indiana to win that game. But say Cleveland does win at home. Can you get 1 win from Toronto and Atlanta? Unlikely, but it's not the craziest thing in the world. And then finally, the 76ers schedule. Boy, is their schedule a cakewalk. But that actually doesn't really matter because you saw Miami's 4-game schedule. You see Philly having to play Detroit, Orlando, and Brooklyn. Maybe they beat the Magic or lose to the Magic, and they go 1 or 2-1 or something like that. But the truth is, if you want to have home court advantage against Philly in the play-in game, well, you got to go 4-0 because the Heat actually own the tiebreaker over the Sixers. They split the season series 2-2 this year. But the next tiebreaker, it goes to conference record. Miami holds a better Eastern Conference record than Philadelphia does. So if you go 4-0, you will finish no worse than the 7th seed. That is a guarantee if you go 4-0. But, as I mentioned, if you do go undefeated in the final 4 games, finish with a 47-35 record, well, maybe Indiana does go 1-2 down the stretch. Because an Indiana 1-2 and a Miami 4-0, that actually does make you jump the Pacers and you are able to get that 6th seed. So if you're the Heat and if you're a Heat fan, the only thing you should root for is for the Heat to win every game for the rest of the season, beat Toronto twice, beat Atlanta, beat Dallas. You go 4-0, let the chips fall as they fall. You'll be the 7th seed at worst, but maybe you get to climb up to the 6th. Predict it for me, though, down in the comments section. What seed will the Heat finish with? I'll go 7. Do they go 4-0? Unlikely, because we've seen this Heat team. But I'm going to say Philly goes 2-1 by losing to the Orlando Magic, as they're fighting for the 2 seed, in all honesty. So I think the Magic beat them. They go 2-1. I think we go 3-1, and we'll get the 7 seed. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel as we progress throughout the rest of this video and into the postseason. We are live for every single Miami Heat basketball game. Subscribe today. We have a ton of fun on our watch parties. We drink, we commentate, we talk about Heat basketball, play-by-play. It's completely free. It's awesome. Make sure you subscribe as we get closer and closer to the play-in and the play-offs. I do want to shift our attention on today's show, though, to the fact that Duncan Robinson needs to be benched. And I hate to do this because I loved the way Duncan played this season after being basically benched all of last year. He was a revelation for Miami. But ever since he was returning from that back injury, he's played in 5 games after missing a week. And in 21.9 minutes, which even is low for him because when he was playing healthy, he was getting 28, 30 minutes a game. That's been slashed down to 21.9. And you see these numbers, like these are numbers that you would expect from an undrafted free agent. Like he is so bad right now. He is missing every 3 he's taking, shooting just 23% from beyond the arc. And we already know that Duncan doesn't provide any defense when he is playing good. So when he's on the court, he needs to be knocking down shots and forcing the defense to gravitate towards him at beyond the arc to make others get open looks. But if he's not able to hit his shots and defenses don't have to put 2 on him and make sure he doesn't get open look, well, he's unplayable because he doesn't play any defense. Like, you need him to hit his shots from beyond the arc, not only to open up the Heat offense, but just for him to be able to provide anything, because if he can't provide shooting and he doesn't provide any defense, well, his minutes are not going to really be there in the biggest moments. More to come on this topic and discussion, but I do want to shout out Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. Get started with them now before it is too late. March is over, but April is when basketball is at its highest peak. Men's National Championship is tonight if you're watching on Monday. If it's Tuesday, well, let me know if UConn or Purdue won down in the comments section. But the NBA postseason is just around the corner, so get started today as the biggest action on the hardwood gets underway. And with playoff action getting started in April 20th, playing 16th, 17th, and 19th of April, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as the best players in the game take their competition to the highest level. I'm still focusing on college basketball, though, because we do have one more game. I'm a college basketball enthusiast, and this is where I'm going. Thinking of less than on Zach Edey, 24 points. I expect Donovan Clingan to give him some troubles inside. I'll go more than on Tristan Newton. I think he's the best guard in this game, and I think he'll dominate the 5th-year man for the Huskies. I'll go more than on Mason Gillis, 5.5 points. He had 2 triples against NC State. I could see him knocking down a couple catch-and-shoot treys once again in tonight's big game. And I also go more than on Stephon Castle, the talented freshman out of Georgia, 18.5 points, rebounds, assists. He did that with just points on Saturday in the Final Four. I think he could do it with points, rebounds, and assists. This Prize Picks entry is to win more than 5 times my money, 4-player entry there, so very, very cool. I could win up to 8 times my money as well, 10 times all. That's all the best. All you got to do is pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Get started today by downloading the app and putting code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100, or you can go in the description and comments of today's video and click on that link. That is prizepicks.com/CLNS, and then use code CLNS. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. All right, back to the starting lineup discussion, because it's not just Duncan Robinson who has been struggling, which is why I believe he should be pulled from the starting 5, but the actual lineup that Miami's throwing out there over the last 14 games, which, by the way, they're 7-7, it just has not produced good results. Rozier, Duncan, Butler, Jovic, and Bam have been outscored by 6.8 points per 100 possessions in the 181 minutes they've played together this season. Shout out to Anthony Chang for that nugget, but it's obvious. This group has not worked the way that we thought it would. On paper, it looks fantastic, right? You have Jimmy and Bam. You have the playmaking and extra size to go alongside shooting with Nikola Jovic. You have the three-point sniper and Duncan Robinson running around, setting off-ball screens, and then the isolation scorer and ball handler and Terry Rozier. But the truth is, those two, Rozier and Duncan, have not worked defensively in the backcourt, which I could have told you that was going to happen, but you were going to expect the offense from that five to be on a different level. And you could have argued that was going to be the best starting five or five-man group offensively Miami could ever throw out there. But the fact that they're getting outscored at that clip right now has just showed me that it is time to make a change. And with Tyler Herro being back, playing 2 games, I think it's time for 14 to be inserted back into the starting lineup. I've been on record saying I'm cool with him coming off the bench because it's all about who closes the game and plays those meaningful clutch minutes. But after what I've seen from Tyler in his first 2 games back, it's time for him to open up this game going forward because he has been solid, right? Against the Pacers on Sunday, he was terrific, especially as of late in that game. 21 points, 5 boards, shot 6 of 12 from the field, and hit a couple big threes late. I know people were upset with that shot he took with 50 seconds to go in the game when he was up in transition, down 4. But, I mean, he was fouled on the play. In the league 2 minutes, they actually came out today and said they missed that call. He was fouled, and he should have got 3 free throws. That could have cut the game to 1 point with 50 seconds to go. But that's neither here nor there. The officials weren't the reason why you lost today or yesterday, but it didn't help. On Friday against Houston, though, he was also very good. 17 points, 7 of 14, 1 of 4 from 3. So he shot 50% in both games that he has come back. The three-point shooting is getting there. I think Tyler has shown the rust is really not existent. I mean, that was my concern after not playing for a month and a half and missing 20 games in a row, and he's missed over 30 on the year. I was nervous that he was going to be very rusty, but that hasn't been the case. His shot's been there. He's been able to get to his spots in the mid-range, knock down a couple threes, including one that kept Miami alive, hitting a 3 with 6 seconds to go. That curling right wing 3 with 2 guys at his grill was absolutely ridiculous. He's a big shot taker. He's a big shot maker. He lives for the big moments, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the play-in or postseason run coming up, but I do think it should be in the starting lineup. But what say you? Should Tyler Herro start again for the Miami Heat? If you're with me and where he should be a starter, type your Ys. If you think he should remain on the bench as that 6th-man scoring leader off the bench, type your Ns. Not only do I think he should start, but I have a take loading here that might ruffle up some fellas. Or, did I say fellas? Yeah, I did. Feathers, I meant to say. Heat closing lineup against the Pacers was this. Tyler Herro, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jovic, and Bam Adebayo. Jovic is not someone who gets a lot of fourth-quarter minutes, but with how well he played in the third quarter against Indiana, having 10 points, had 12 points going into the fourth quarter, and then hit 3 free throws after getting fouled on a 3, as well as hitting a tough kind of moving away 3 in the corner as well late in the shot clock. Nikola earned a lot of minutes late. And call me crazy, this could be the starting lineup I'd want to roll with. That's that loading take I was talking about that could ruffle up some feathers. Yes, you would be changing your entire starting backcourt and changing to Tyler Herro and Caleb Martin rather than Rozier and Duncan, but this lineup was fantastic yesterday. And if we're going to be honest, late in last year's season, this closing lineup was Tyler, it was Caleb, it was Jimmy, it was Bam, and then whoever was playing well as that 5th guy. I think this 4-man group, these 2 up here, middle guy, and then Bam, are the 4 guys that should be playing the most minutes. Caleb's been fantastic after the All-Star break. He was great in the postseason last year. I expect him to play solid once again. So it's just all about, to me, who is going to be that 5th guy that closes. If Rozier's having a good game, maybe it's him. If Duncan finally snaps out of it, could be D-Rob. Could it be Highsmith? Maybe. He's been playing good as of late too. But it also could be Nikola Jovic as he continues to improve and show up in big moments. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on this. You can let me know down below. But I think that 5-man group could be a closing lineup Miami goes to often. And it could be the starting lineup if Erik Spoelstra wanted to go to a complete overhaul and really switch things up as we approach the end of the season. That will do it for today's video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we are live for every single Heat basketball game. Don't know how much we have left, but we are at least guaranteed 6 at bare minimum, 4. And if they lost both playing games, that would be 6. So hit that sub button because we will be there for every game. We'll also have videos in between each bout for Miami. So join the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another live show against the Atlanta Hawks.